3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Sports Review. I'm Phil Hargis. It's been a long off season since we last joined you here right before the Super Bowl, but it's August again and we're ready to start talking some football. And without any further ado, I want to go ahead and welcome a couple of the guests here into the studio here. We don't have Robbie, Claire, or Natalie with us tonight. We got the special Gotta Get Running episode of Fantasy Sports Review for you tonight. We got Chris Farley and Mike Wardian. You guys ready to talk some football?
Heck yeah!
Hey, thanks for joining us. Can I play this music? Is that okay?
It's been a long time since I heard that. What is it?
I don't know if Steve, our producer out there, can hear this. He's probably cringing I'm playing it, but yeah, it is football season, man. I'm excited. So thanks for having us to talk some football here today.
Yeah, aside from running, which is one thing we all love to do, we also love to watch football on Sundays after a long run, sit back there on the sofa and watch some games. What are you guys looking forward to the season?
Follow our fantasy players, man. I am looking forward to the season. I'm a big Redskins fan, but I'm also a big fantasy player as well. So look forward to 3 or 4 leagues. I think it's going to be 4 leagues for me this year.
A little bump up. And how many leagues are you going to be doing, Mike?
I think maybe 3 leagues, and maybe try to get the kids involved this year. So maybe have a fun league too. So maybe 4.
That's good. That'd be a whole other show in itself, as like a way to get kids more involved in fantasy football. I think it'd be like really awesome to get them involved, and what are you gonna do, honey? Take the kids away from me and our fantasy football teams.
Yeah.
You got the rest of the free pass for all day on Sunday.
It's a family activity all of a sudden. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, but when I do, I'm going to implement that in the Farley household.
It was very cool today. We were talking about it, and they were trying to come up with their team name. So it was Ninja Slasher / Goons.
I like it.
Yeah. So it was good.
I like it, so that you could actually take their allowance money back from them, by the end of the season. Anyway.
Yeah, I might have them watch film for me to earn some allowance.
That's great.
Yeah, Mike was actually watching film for us last year and doing the injury report there on the waiver wire management. So he's like the wizard of the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Wizard, warrior, Wardian.
Yeah, exactly. I try to be. It's sometimes in our league, you're not allowed to. It's not first come, first serve. Some of them are, which is nice, but some of them you have to wait. And so I was able to get some guys pretty good. But
see, Chris should actually get in touch with you during the season because he doesn't manage the waiver wire at all.
Well, this year I'm committed. I'm recommitting myself to fantasy football. Like I said, 3 or 4, probably 4 leagues. I'm in a league with you, and it's a.
We didn't know you were in that league, actually.
Yeah,
we're waiting for you to make an appearance.
Well, it's not a league I'm used to. There's a lot of different leagues out there, and we're going to talk about one of your drafts here. But it was a league where you draft and you'd have a certain dollar amount. What are those?
The auction leagues.
Auction leagues. Yeah. So it's my first time doing an auction league. I am dialed in for this year, and I know what I'm doing, and you guys are in trouble.
He actually drafted, in fairness to Chris, the first year he drafted a pretty good team. The last 2 years he's drafted pretty good teams, and he's just gotten hit hard by the injury bug. What are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of different leagues and everything. We're not going to spend this show talking about the different leagues and everything. We're actually going to break down a draft. I did my first draft of the year. I like to do small money league drafts online to try to get a feel for where guys are drafted, so that that way later on, closer to the season, when you get a chance to draft your local leagues, you really know what's going to go on, where the players are getting drafted, and who likes who and who the sleepers are and everything like that. So what I've done is put together the first 10 rounds of my draft I did a couple nights ago. I've shared them with you guys, and we're going to, good or bad, we're going to criticize my picks. Let me start by setting up this league for you guys. You got to know the rules to be successful,
right,
anytime you draft a team. So this is basically a PPR league, so you're getting a point per reception. In this league, tight ends get an extra 1.5 per reception.
So it's a 1.5 for tight ends.
Not extra, but it's 1.5 points per reception for tight ends.
Okay.
The starting roster requirements for this league are 1 quarterback, two running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and then you get 2 flexes, and a kicker and a defense. So it's a lot different than most of us are used to drafting, because you're actually starting 2 flex positions, and that flex player can be either a running back, a wide receiver, or a tight end, whichever one you want. Just not quarterbacks.
So we want running backs who can catch balls out of the backfield, and if you can get if you can get some good tight ends, then you're pretty much set.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
So I think you got the idea. Does that sound about right to you there, Mike?
The only other thing I would ask is, do quarterbacks get the same amount for throwing touchdowns, or is
Good
it
question.
4 or 6?
It's four for touchdown passes.
So they're not as effective then.
They're not. No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so-
Which is pretty typical for as long as we've been doing this show. This is our 13th season of Fantasy Sports Review. We never advise anybody, no matter how much you want a guy like an Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or Tom Brady, to go out and draft those
Or
guys.
an RG3.
There's somebody in one of these local leagues around here will probably take RG3 in the first or second round. It'll be
probably my
ridiculous.
team. Yeah.
I know you'll have an entire team stacked of Washington Redskins, Chris.
I will.
You do like those guys, and the Redskins will be worth drafting, as we'll get to here shortly. In fact, I drafted one. Let's just go ahead and get right into this draft, and let me know what you guys think. I don't care if you like my picks or not. But look at the first round there. I've had pick 11, by the way. I was picking out the 11 hole. So every time I had the 11th pick in the round on the column on the left, and the second pick in the column on the right. So I really, like guys like C.J. Spiller this year. I knew there was no way he was going to fall to me. So I was kind of hoping to get Jimmy Graham, but that didn't work out. But I ended up with a Marshawn Lynch here. What do you guys see there when you look at the first round? I mean, you see some guys that were overdrafted or underdrafted. I mean, those are a lot of the big names you expect to see in round 1.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's no quarterbacks there. So if you're playing in this 4 points per touchdown for quarterbacks, this I would say looks about right in my opinion. I mean, I guess Lynch there is the best of the guys. The running backs, I'd say maybe a Matt Forte. Potentially, you could get at that pick too, who would maybe catch some balls out of the backfield. But I mean, I really like Marshawn Lynch. He's one of those guys who's going to carry the load for the Seahawks like almost 100% of the time. He's not going to be with another running back who's going to share the load or anything like that. So that's pretty good.
He's going to get 300 carries.
Yeah.
Mike, let me frame this question for you here. Out of the top 7 running backs there, Peterson down to Arian Foster. Which of those 7 guys, after Peterson, because Peterson is the consensus number 1 pick here. So let's say from Doug Martin down to Arian Foster there, which one of those guys are you going to be targeting?
In my league, or if I was in this league?
Well, both. Let's for this league, it's a PPR league. So let's go ahead and see what you think of that, of the running backs there.
I think for this, I would take Ray Rice, depending if he would fall to me, depending on what pick I had. Just because I think he's a great player, he's going to catch a lot of balls. I like C.J. Spiller also. I had him last year on my team, and he was money. The only thing I'm afraid of is Fred Jackson with him, and he gets hurt sometimes.
Splitting carries is going to kill you. Yeah, so
right.
that's a tough.
Trent Richardson, I don't think catches many balls as far as I've seen. Arian Foster is the other one. He's pretty much fantastic. He catches and he runs.
But he's a big injury concern this offseason. It seems like every other day there's like some sort of news bit with Arian Foster's got a problem with this. And of course he had that heart problem last year, which caused him to miss some time, some games as well.
Yeah, exactly. But I'd handcuff him with Ben Tate then.
That'd be a good handcuff right there. Now, would you handcuff Fred Jackson with Spiller, or would you just get Spiller and take your chances with somebody else?
No, I would do the same thing there. I would if I could get Spiller, I would. I think Doug Martin in that is, for me, going a little bit too high.
Yo, I don't want that guy at all either.
Just because he got so many points in that one game. He got like 55 points, so it makes it look like he had a huge average when he really...
I did a study on his last year for this buddy of mine that had Doug Martin. He thought he was like the greatest thing ever, and I showed like his stats like over the graph of the season. I showed like the standard deviation. Like the standard deviation was like off the charts for that guy, just because of those big swings he'd have. He'd have big games and like nothing, and it's still Tampa Bay. I mean, it's not that great of an offense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've got Vincent Jackson, so they can't completely stack the box, I think. But
he's dangerous downfield. I mean, as dangerous as it gets.
And I think it really depends on how Josh Friedman plays this year, and if he can play up to the level he did on some of those games, then it's going to make it a lot easier for Doug Martin.
There's a lot of depth at quarterbacks, which we'll get to later as well. Let's get into the second round here, you guys. At the start of the second round, I had to pick again here. I thought about taking Matt Forte instead of Lynch, but I did like Lynch because he's going to get 300 carries. He's going to be in a great offense, which has what I also perceived as a fairly easy schedule. Unfortunately, the guy took Matt Forte ahead of me, so then I ended up with Alfred Morris. Again, a guy like Lynch, who actually had more rushing yards than Lynch last year. And you get
Wasn't he like the second leading rusher in the league?
yeah behind
Peterson.
Exactly.
Yeah. So again, like you said, a guy who doesn't catch many balls. So
it's hard to follow up that kind of a season, especially for a rookie, I think. So I took a chance on him, and it's a Redskins, so it'll be fun to root for
I'm a
all those
homer.
guys.
Love the pick. Love the pick right there. I mean, you look at the guys that were available. Maybe you go wide receiver there. Maybe you reach for the second tight end.
You start 2 wide receivers, though, so I wasn't even thinking about wide receiver.
So you're not even
there.
thinking about wide receiver. So, yeah, I mean, I think out of the running backs, if you had a choice there, I'd say it's between Alfred Morris and Chris Johnson.
I was thinking Maurice Jones-Drew also.
Or Maurice Jones-Drew.
I think that we're overlooking 2 guys that are going to be really good in this league. It's going to be Steven Jackson and Reggie Bush. Both those guys catch
New teams,
really,
too.
really well.
Both those guys, new teams. Yeah, I just don't know what to
Stafford
think,
throws the ball more than any guy in the freaking league. And he's got Calvin Johnson who's going to be able to, and he's got, what is it, Boyle?
Ryan Broyles.
Broyles, yeah. So they've got really good guys, and they've got a nice tight end in Pettigrew, I think.
Yep.
So, and the only thing with Reggie Bush is he's Reggie Bush, so he gets hurt.
Doesn't score a lot of touchdowns historically either.
Yeah, but Steven Jackson, I think, is going to have a huge impact. And, their team is so stacked, so he's going to get lots and lots of carries, but also he can catch and block, so he's going to be in there a lot.
That's a good pick right there, man. It's still a big unknown going to that team, though, I think. But he should get a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
I guess it's more recency effect for Chris Johnson for me because I watched.
I was going to ask you about it.
The preseason game against the
Skins.
against the Skins,
Yeah.
and he has a 50-yard touchdown against the Redskins. And do you take preseason into account at all?
For guys that are going to be drafting in the first and second round, even third and fourth round, I'd say you don't have to even think about it.
Right.
I think for the middle round guys, it's important. These guys that you're looking at here, none of these guys need preseason. I don't even know why they play them, quite frankly. Maybe I know the guys that are competitors and want to be out there, but I'm not worried about what somebody like Chris Johnson or Steven Jackson does in the preseason. These guys are vets, and
I did have him a couple years ago. It got burned when he got hurt, so that does sting a little bit too. So that's another reason why I would go on Morris there probably too. Does that ever factor in? Do you think with your emotions and say I had that guy and he killed me 2 years ago, or I had that guy and he was
he's
awesome?
dead to me. He's dead to me.
or maybe the other way around. Where
fool
he
me
was
once,
awesome.
shame on me.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, or fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah, no, there are definitely guys like that. Like this year, I think there's going to be good value in Michael Vick, and he is not going to be on my team
Because you've been burned.
because
There's a lot of people that
hosed
don't
me
like Vick.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to have a good year. And I mean, it's too bad that you can't know what Maurice Jones-Drew is going to do, but I think he could have a huge year again.
Yeah,
but he burned me last year, so he's dead to me.
You get stung and then you let that affect
I
you.
think he's going to be fine, man. If you listen to Sirius XM radio, and I don't now because I got a new car and it doesn't have the Sirius XM radio in it yet. So I miss all the fantasy sports channel on there, but he's one of the hosts on the fantasy sports channel for XM Radio, and he did a celebrity draft where he had the #1 pick overall, and he could have waited until the second round. He took himself #1 overall in that draft. I mean, that to me, I mean, I know he's got to do that because he has to believe he's the best, but that still tells you something about it. I mean, he could easily taken Easy out and taken Peterson, but he took MJD.
MJD took MJD. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think he's one of those guys that I love the way he plays, but last year he just had an off year,
Well, I'm on the record. I like your pick, but
Okay, all right, yeah, it's a Redskin guy. So yeah, you'll see. One thing you'll notice about this draft is that quarterbacks aren't getting drafted here. And like a lot of your homer leagues, you'll see guys like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees and Tom Brady going in the first round. But this is more of I wouldn't call it an expert league, but a league where people seem to know what they were doing because they weren't drafting quarterbacks really all over the place. And there you see Drew Brees at the end of the second round going off the board there. I think a couple picks later, now we'll get into the third round. You see Aaron Rodgers get drafted, but you still see receiving guys like Darren Sproles getting drafted, and then maybe some more running receivers here. And my pick ended up being Darren McFadden. I think that's a great running back 3 to have on my fantasy team, especially a guy that is quite capable of putting up top 3 player in the league statistics and is quite capable of catching the ball out of that backfield and being the center of that offense.
Yeah, I mean, you take a little bit of a chance here with him because he seems to be always a disappointment in the past.
Every year.
Every year, but certainly
Every
he
year.
has the talent to be a first-round pick, so I guess I don't.
He was a first-round pick last year.
I don't hate it other than you have other needs. Obviously, we got 2 running backs, and so you picked your 3rd running back. Understood that running backs are so important that you want to take as many as you can as possible because you're ultimately going to need them either on a bye week, guys get hurt, or whatever the case may be. So.
And Roddy White would have been my other pick there, but I wanted McFadden. I think he's an elite talent, and I would rather have had him than White.
But rather than if you look at the next round, you got Gronkowski coming off the board, and I think that guy's going to be a beast even if he doesn't play the whole time. And he's going to get you 1.5 points.
Yeah.
And it's a point per reception, and he's going to be, if he can keep his bones in place.
That's a big thing for me, though, with that guy, though. I mean, I agree with you.
Well, that's just the same concern with McFadden, though, isn't it?
You're right, Mike. That's absolutely the same concern.
And
so, that's why I'd say, why not just take the risk on, you get 1.5 points, you're going to get Tom Brady with not a lot of guys to throw to.
Yeah, I think you botched it.
I'm all for it.
I think you did.
I mean, if you're going to say,
you sold me. I think Gronk was the pick there.
And that could have had Gronk and Gonzo. And that would have been pretty studly.
Yeah. And especially because you can start 2.
Yes, exactly.
Start 2. And both those guys are impact players. And I guess, now that you mentioned it, you can start the running back at the flex, so you would be starting those 3 guys. But
right, but you can start 3 tight ends too.
3 tight ends if you.
Or 4 tight ends.
No, you could start 3.
You could start 3 tight ends.
Yeah, you could start 3, and they don't.
Oh yeah,
one
you're right.
tight end, 2 flexes.
Yeah, exactly.
I would go on Gronk here. Darren McFadden was your pick. We'll see how it shakes out.
But I don't really like too many of these other guys in the 4th round here. Maybe Dwayne Bowe down there at the bottom kind of catches my eye, but I'm not really excited about any of those guys that these guys were drafted.
Well,
I like Welker.
Yeah, I like Welker, and I like Monty Ball too.
And Cobb. That guy had a huge there last year. I don't know if it's a one-off, but.
Well, Jordy Nelson should be healthier again this year and take some of those catches back.
I agree with you there. But I think he
may not stay healthy either.
He's hurt for a couple of weeks at least.
I think he might miss the first week, maybe 2.
Yeah.
So he's off to a rocky start, kind of like Gronk.
Right. And I think that guy Richardson, I don't know, I've seen him play a little bit, and he's pretty sweet actually.
Pretty electrifying.
I don't even know who that is, but
he plays for the Rams, and he can catch and run.
He was one of Mike's waiver wire specials last year. If you were watching.
All right, well, I missed that episode. I am a religious viewer, but I don't miss many. I don't miss many, but I would have gone.
Farley threw a line through Richardson.
I would have gone Gronk in the previous round, and then gone for somebody like Welker or Ball or
if you could get Gonzalez, I think that was a good pick.
Or go both.
What do you think of those 3 guys? If you had to pick between Reggie Wayne, Hakeem Nicks, and Dwayne Bowe, who would you draft out of those? Who would you have taken out of those 3? I think that's a pretty good question. Or Cruz. Let's put all 4 of those guys in there. Victor Cruz, Reggie Wayne, Hakeem Nicks, or Dwayne Bowe. Who are you taking out of those 4, Mike?
Reggie Wayne.
Farley, who do you like?
I was going to say Wayne, but I'm not going to be the same as Mike. I'm going to say Dwayne Bowe. I'm really interested to see how Alex Smith does, and I think Dwayne Bowe's a stud.
He is a stud, man. I just don't trust him because he did the same thing. He's dead to me.
Right. Well, Andy Reid's new offense, so we could get a big year from Dwayne.
And Mike,
I agree with you.
I got to ask you about this guy too, because we missed him when we were talking about the first round. The last pick of the first round was Des Bryant. How do you think he's going to do this year?
I think he's overrated. That's what I have on my sheet.
He's got it written down, overrated. Kind of like Farley's got a line through Richardson. Mike's got that. So let's just do a couple more rounds here, and then let's get into the player rankings here. Just to round out, I want to show you guys what quarterback I end up with. So in the 5th round, I end up taking my first wide receiver off the board there. I got Eric Decker. Not horribly excited about it. I liked him last year, but now that Welker's there, I'm concerned about how many catches. I really wanted Jordy Nelson with that pick, but as you can see, he went right before me, before I took Eric Decker, the 1 pick before mine. I thought about Colston as well, but I like that Denver offense. I mean, not that I don't like the Saints offense. I did think about Colston, but Colston is another one of those guys like Doug Martin that just has these big standard deviations and fluctuations when you draft him. So you might get a big game from him, and then you'll get like 2 duds in a row. So you never really know when to start him. But I took Decker, and then at the start of the next round, I took Peyton Manning. I had a choice between Peyton Manning, Cam Newton, and Matt Ryan. I just kind of struggled with it, but I figured I'd end up taking Peyton Manning.
Do you take Manning there because you got the Decker-Manning combination, you get double the points when they do score touchdowns, or does that factor in at all?
It was in the back of my head when I drafted Decker that I was probably going to take Peyton Manning or a quarterback for that last pick because, you know, I really wanted Colston. I was hoping Colston would stay there for me, and I was planning on taking Decker and Colston, but then he was gone. And then after that, look at the receivers. I mean, there was nobody there that I really wanted. So I was like, the hell with it. I'm just going to take a quarterback here. I don't really usually, especially with this quarterback field this year, really want to draft a quarterback that high. But I was like, screw it. I'd rather have a stud quarterback like Peyton Manning than somebody like Torrey Smith as my, wide receiver too.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant pick there, and I can't believe that he fell that far.
And then you can see the good guys start going after that too. Like there goes Matt Ryan, Stafford went, and then Stafford went before Cam Newton. To me, that's just ridiculous. But I guess if you liked what you saw from him 2 years ago, I can see where you take that case for taking Stafford.
He had a big year last year too, though. He throws
so many interceptions, though.
Yeah. Do you get points off for that?
A few, but when
right?
it's as many points, 2 points off, and then as
Yeah.
many points as he gets, it's not. It's like you don't even notice it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. I mean, he just is, and he's going to have Reggie Bush this year. He's just got to dump the ball, and that's going to be a lot of yards that he didn't have last year.
Reggie Bush is probably good for 600 to 800 yards receiving, if not more.
Exactly.
So
and
that's
he could
just
have
another
90
foul.
catches.
He probably will.
Yeah.
I'm kind of liking Reggie Bush now that we're starting to talk about him. In these PPR leagues, you can't remember that for the auction league there.
I got a strategy. I'm good to go for this year. I want to comment here that maybe this is the only league in the country where Cam Newton's tight end is drafted 5 picks before him. Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen, the tight end. Hey, I love me some Greg Olsen.
It's a great observation.
But Cam Newton, was the superstar darling that everybody loved, a couple years ago. 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and he's fallen pretty deep into this draft. I know quarterbacks are going late, but that's just kind of an interesting thing that Greg Olsen, his tight end, is.
I think because of that lineup structure that people kind of tend to overemphasize the tight ends here, but that is kind of ridiculous.
Well, I think Cam Newton's going to get you some rushing yards and some rushing touchdowns, especially he's one of the best goal line backs in the game. I mean, you just kind of fall forward and that's a touchdown, and that's 6 points, so that wipes out the tight end.
It's a touchdown and a half, really.
Yeah. And then I think this guy, a lot of people are T.Y. Hilton.
From Indianapolis.
Yeah, that dude is legit. Mm-hmm. And he's starting, they can't just double up on him because they got Reggie Wayne on the other side. And they got Amon Bradshaw now, too. So, they have a pretty solid team. And I've been watching Andrew Luck. That guy is good. And he's actually one of my, if I can get him, later on, I thought it was kind of a fluke last year, but I've been watching him play this preseason, and that guy is super solid, and he's an athlete.
And he can get his interception problem under control too, and then his second year and everything. And you're absolutely right. He could be a top 5 or 7 guy, and you could probably draft him as the 10th or 12th quarterback off the board.
Yeah, exactly.
So T.Y. Hilton. Who would have ever thought he went in the 6th round there?
Yeah, I think that's a little bit of a stretch for him, but I like him anyhow.
So let's go ahead and skip ahead to my team here. We got about less than 5 minutes left here, and tell me what you guys think. I got Peyton Manning, so I have to deal with quarterbacks for a while. So then I just took Flacco later on. I thought that was a pretty good value for the 20 or 22nd quarterback off the board. Marshawn Lynch, Alfred Morris, Darren McFadden, and then all their handcuffs, as you can see. Cecil Shorts, who I like as a receiver. Mike, I know we talked about him. He's pretty solid. Eric Decker. Kenny Britt, a guy that I always like, even though he hasn't done anything for his entire career.
I think that's a nice lottery ticket pick.
Sure, why not as your 3rd receiver? And then Emmanuel Sanders, who could be good there in Pittsburgh. You see my receivers, my tight ends. I got Gates and Gonzalez. I think that looks pretty solid for a 2 tight end league. And then, who cares? Kickers and defenses. Hopefully that works out. But Baltimore is the Super Bowl champ, so why not have Tucker? And the Giants was just the best team available when I drafted that. Is this team going to make the playoffs?
I liked Alfred Morris and Evan Royster. I liked those two picks, but
Revan Royster was the 20th round pick, by the way.
Why did you take Royster? Because I've heard that it's Halou that's going to be the.
Halou was drafted in like the 6th, 7th, or 8th round, probably.
Okay,
Royster was in the 20th round, so that's
okay.
grabbed
so
him.
obviously he's a throwaway pick. So I guess I'm kind of kidding on that. Do I think it's going to be? I don't think so. I gave you a C+.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No,
Phil, I love you.
You don't have to give me an A.
You know what? My quick rationale behind that is that I don't like, and I know wide receivers are minimized here, but you don't really have a
number one
wide receiver who is going to carry the load for you.
And
Maybe it won't matter.
No argument here on that.
Yeah, well, and I don't think that your guys catch enough balls out of the backfield to make up for that. Like with Marshawn Lynch, Alfred Morris, or McFadden. McFadden maybe if he can stay healthy, but
Man, this is the last time you guys are ever on the show.
A PPR league. I just think you undervalue the wide receiver. I don't know personally. I just think that I don't know, but
no, I like it, man. Beat me up all. I
feel
my
like
first one, and I got a couple more to improve.
You could be wrong. I think Antonio Gates is due for a bounce back year, and if he gets that, I mean, he's better than your two tight ends are better than all your wide receivers put together.
You know what I've been saying about Gates for the last couple of years on this show is that he got that torn plantar fasciitis. It wasn't like a strained one; it was a torn one. And we as runners know how bad that type of injury is. I said when he first got that, I don't think he'll ever recover from that injury.
Oh, it's just
bad.
The most painful thing ever.
Yeah.
And the worst part is you can still play. It just hurts.
It's debilitating though. Yeah, absolutely.
And it can come back at any time, and you'll never even know.
Albert
it really.
Pujols is out for the season with that thing. It is a tough injury to come back.
We don't talk about baseball on this show, Chris.
He
is a baseball player, I presume. If it's hockey, we can talk about.
This is my last time.
So we've got like less than a minute left. Yeah. Like who is your like biggest sleeper that you're sitting on that you want to share?
Man, I like that Tavon Austin out of St. Louis. I've been hearing a lot of great stuff about him, but I think everybody is on that bandwagon because he was drafted in the 6th or 7th round here. That's a tough question though, man. It's I do like him. I'm a Bengals fan, so I'm kind of hoping this Giovanni Bernard guy works out pretty well.
Yeah, he's looked good on that Hard Knocks show.
I think that Eddie Lacy will be a bust. I'm just going to go out and say that.
That was my slide. I just wrote down there.
You think he'll be a bust too?
I thought he's going to be a sleeper and a solid running back for the Green Bay Packers. Looks like he's going to be their starter. So that was my sleeper.
All right. Well, who's your sleeper, Mike? You got one yet?
He's not really a sleeper, but I think Ryan Matthews is going to have a good year.
Oh, my God. Now, he's in that same boat with McFadden.
I know, but I really do. I don't know why.
You can get great value on that guy. Well, anyway, listen, that was a lot of fun, guys. Thanks for sticking around and doing the football show tonight.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thanks for having us.
And, forget all the notes tonight from tonight's show. But